Everybody, welcome back to my channel Prediction News, and today we'll be continuing the series I started that goes over toss-up races in the 2026 midterm cycle for the Senate at least. And continuing that series, today we are covering Alaska, whose main candidates are Dan Sullivan for the Republicans and Mary Peltola for the Democrats. And right here we have not the most recent poll, but I think the second most recent poll from the Alaska Survey Research, going over, well, just a polling on multiple things: Dan Sullivan, Trump, Mary Peltola, and the overall Senate election. Now, for some context, many of you guys may think that Alaska is a pretty red state, and on a presidential level, they've only voted Democrat one time in 1964, I believe, for Lyndon B. Johnson. But on a more state level and local level, they aren't as Republican. They're more of a purple state, I'd say, with them having Democrat senators, Democrat representatives, and even within like the state senate and the state house, there's it's a big bunch of and a big mix of senators and representatives. I'm pretty sure the Alaska State Senate is divided between two coalitions of Republicans and one coalition of Democrats. So I think that kind of gives you some context of the type of state Alaska is, and Alaska is pretty competitive this cycle because of Mary Peltola. So let's go ahead with the video and start looking at this report that we have from the Alaska survey. So the fielding dates between January 8th to January 11th, it was around, or it was 2,132 Alaskans. And this survey, or this poll, is a bit interesting because I feel like it says a lot. It gives us the approval rating of Mary Peltola after being out of office for 2 years, and she got voted out of the House of Representatives in 2024, and gets us the approval slash disapproval rating of Dan Sullivan as well. So right here, around 44% of people disapprove Dan Sullivan as a senator in Alaska, and think it also brings up, it might bring up Trump, but if not, I do have another poll for that. Right here, if the election was held today, who would they vote for? And 48% people, or almost 2% people, or over, Dan Sullivan said they'd vote for Mary Peltola, which could be huge for the Democrats, obviously, because Alaska would be a big push for them to get over the majority in the state, or in the Senate and all that. So here's just some more information. You guys can check out this poll if you guys want to, but let's get over the video. So right here we have multiple polls already done since April of 2023. Is that really accurate? I guess so. So yeah, since 2020, let's go off of 2025 because I feel like that might be more accurate. So 2025, they were already holding a couple polls in the summertime where Dan Sullivan came out on top 2 times, but ever since that, he's been falling short of Mary Peltola, mostly by close margins, but still a bit concerning for Dan Sullivan, considering he's already spent almost $2 million on this campaign. And unlike my Texas video, I don't think this election will be decided more by campaigning, and I think it'll be decided more by who people disapprove of more in terms of political parties. Because I feel like Dan Sullivan and Mary Peltola, they're both establishment candidates from their respective parties, unlike someone like James Talarico in Texas, who I feel like it's more of a people's candidate more rather than a more like a Democrat candidate. So I will go over a couple things that I've seen in their campaigns or in their time as senator. So Mary Peltola recently announced her campaign, and she's already doing meet and greets in a kind of, I say, a purple to more red city, as in Fairbanks. Fairbanks does occasionally have Democrat mayors and Democrat representatives, but it's more, they vote usually more with Republicans in terms of governorship and in terms of like representatives and representative in Congress and senators and all that. So yeah. So I feel like this is a bit interesting. Mary Peltola, she's already going out talking to people, and I feel like Mary Peltola does tap in more on local issues as she did back when she ran for House in 2022. So for some context, at Mary Peltola, she ran. Well, another thing, Mary Peltola knows how to win um, elections. She's been in like the election world for Alaska since 1999, and even was able to win the House of Representative district in 2022 on a special election, which I'm not even sure when's the last time a Democrat won this seat. Let's see if we could find out. Or Mary Peltola could have been the first, but yeah, even going back over to like 2010, seemed like Don Young held the seat pretty fiercely. So yeah. So 2022, or let's go back to 2020, the last time Don Young was elected, 54 to 45. So the state or the representatives part of Alaska had already been narrowing up for a while. In 2022, even in a red year, Mary Peltola was able to come out on top against Sarah Palin and Nick Begich. And I feel like that's pretty interesting considering how, like, I feel like not that many people talked about this election back in the day. And it shows that Mary Peltola is capable of winning a conservative state like Alaska. And Mary Peltola is, I feel like, a more conservative person. She is one of the only Democrats in modern times to get endorsed by the NRA back in 2024. But yeah, let's see how people were like viewing this election. Are there any predictions? Yeah, safe Republican, likely Republican. That was not right at all. I mean, it was a bit close, 41 to 40. I mean, 51 to 48, a bit close for Mary Peltola. But in the end, she came out on top, and she was able to win the regular election by even a bigger margin, with 10%. But she did lose 2024, and I want to say I believe the reason she lost 2024 was because of how unpopular the Democrats were in 2024. I feel like people didn't like Biden, people didn't like Kamala Harris, and I think that took a big toll on Democrats in conservative states, just such as like Sherrod Brown, Mary Peltola. And I think the same thing is going to happen for Republicans in the Senate, where I believe that Dan Sullivan might lose the Senate seat because of how unpopular Republicans are here or in the country as a whole. And Dan Sullivan, he is a pretty pro. Well, at the beginning he wasn't pro Trump, but then as he got elected, he sided more with him right here, um, defending Trump's second administration, defending Doge, and also acquitted Trump during his second impeachment trial. So it kind of shows you the type of Republican Dan Sullivan is. I wouldn't say he's a very extreme, like, right-leaning Republican, but he still, like, aligns himself with Trump. And I think a factor that might help Mary Peltola win against Dan Sullivan is the fact that Dan Sullivan voted for the Big Beautiful Bill. And I'm not sure if this is. Let me find it. I'm not sure if this is entirely correct. Obviously, it's estimates. People are just guessing, kind of doing research, but we won't know until like it really kicks in. But it's estimated that 33,000, almost 34,000 Alaskans will either get cut or have some trouble with health insurance. Um, Pretty much after all the cuts being proposed by the Big Beautiful Bill, if it goes through and all that. So I don't know. I think if Alaskans already think about that, that could hurt Dan Sullivan. I mean, this could be 34,000 people that might just vote for Mary Peltola, which would swing Alaska to another from candidate to candidate, considering like how small Alaska is in terms of population and how many people vote. So yeah, we can go back to 2020. I mean, Dan Sullivan was already having a bit of trouble. Not a bit of trouble, but like, I mean, not like he did win by over 10%, but I feel like this isn't that big of a like win 191 to 145,000 people. Like, I think in a state like Alaska, that could swing a lot, even if he did win by over 10%. So yeah, there's that. And then what else I have? What else do I have here? Right here, Dan Sullivan is a bit interesting because here, like from like the Morning Consulate, Dan Sullivan is approved of by over 10%. But then if we go back here and look at the most recent poll, public policy polling, Dan Sullivan is unfavored by, or no, he is, let me see right here. The it is people are more. He has a 47% unfavorable rating by the public policy polling, which is, I don't know. I think it could be a bit concerning for Dan Sullivan, considering that Mary Peltola also has a more favorable rating on here. So could be could be a sign of things to come. And also, obviously, going back to what I think will decide this election, which is being how unpopular Trump is. I do have a couple of ratings here for Trump. So Trump's approval rating by, again, the Morning Consulate, he's only approved by 3% in Alaska. Let's see if we have a bigger right here. Where's Alaska? Alaska, 49% people approve, 46% people disapprove. We have another rating right here, 47 to 47. So he's breaking even here in Alaska by race to the White House. I think we have one or two more here. By World Population Review, he's only approved of 49%, disapproved 48%, which is 19% down from his first term, which I think could say a lot about how people might vote for in this election. So, yeah. And considering that Mary Peltola is a very moderate Democrat, she has broken party lines multiple times, I think people might be more willing to vote in Mary Peltola, who will be more down the middle than someone like Dan Sullivan, who is more right leaning, more aligned with Trump. So I think that's pretty much all I have for this video. It's a short video, I'd say, in terms of information. I feel like there wasn't really that much to go over with them. I mean, here's this election where Mary Peltola lost. Didn't lose by that much, around 3%. And yeah. So let's go to the map I have now. And right now, after the Texas video, I did have Texas winning, or I did have James Talvico winning Texas, leaving it 46 to 46. I think going off of what the information we have and from what I think and the research I was able to do in this short period of time from my last video, I think Alaska could be. I give it a tilt. It's definitely a tilt to lean, but I give it a tilt Democrat for now. So right now we have a lean Texas, which I think is again between lean to tilt and a tilt to lean Alaska, giving Democrats 47 seats so far and Republicans 46 seats. I think for my next video, I'll be covering Nebraska. I think Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan might be short videos in terms of like research. I think the good videos will probably be Maine, North Carolina, and Georgia. But anywho, thank you for watching. Actually, I do have something new. I have an end card now. Hopefully this looks good on the video. But yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe. Check out my other videos. Check out my last videos, whatever you guys like and all that. I really appreciate it if you guys would comment, like, give me your opinion. What do you think will happen this election? And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.